Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Pineapple Headache with me, Christienne, and your other co-host.
Madison. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today,
Yes.
I don't really know what we're gonna talk about today
Yeah. I think we're just ranting about life.
because I don't know. It's just not.
We should let the people know the state of Madison and Christienne.
The nation. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the State of the Union?
State of the Union.
The State of the Union for Pineapple Headache.
Yeah. This is our annual State of the Union address.
Which, I mean, makes sense. Hasn't it been close to like a year now since we started? When did we start?
Oh, has it?
I feel like it was last year, right? I think it was last fall.
So, I guess we have. I think we started October.
Wow.
Wow, actually.
So, yeah, that's good. Good plan. So this is the State of the Union,
Yeah.
the not American imperialist version.
No.
None of that.
This is just the 20-something-year-old is just trying to
Live life.
live life and
Live, laugh,
figure out
love.
what's going on. I don't think our age group is really the live, laugh, love group type of people, because that's like
Yeah,
older.
that's like millennial.
Yeah.
We are the what is it? Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Girl boss, yeah.
Generation. Gay bait. All the G's.
Okay.
That is our generation.
Yeah. So I don't know where to even start with today. Well, I guess I'll just ask you then. How are you?
I am fine. I'm doing just dandy. I finished reading a
went through an
novel
earthquake.
yesterday. Yes, and there
Oh,
was an
yeah.
earthquake this past weekend. Literally like 3 or 4 or 5 miles. Like the epicenter was like 5 miles away, so that was it was a good little jolt moment. It was kind of loud. It was like earthquake ASMR. And then one of my plushies fell over. And also my signed Evermore CD that's on my desk fell over.
Oh my gosh, valuable.
Yeah, I was like, damn. But it literally like just fell like it was like it's on a shelf and then there was like stuff stacked in front of the shelf. So it just went flat. It didn't like fall. It just like kind of went.
It just
did a domino thing. And I was just like, oh my god, we will rebuild. Yeah. And then there was an aftershock that was like 1 second long and a lot less. Well, the actual earthquake was like a 4.3, I think, which is kind of strong. But for those not in the know, so earthquake scale is like the magnitude. It goes from like 1 to 10, but it's not like a simple like, you know, 1 like 2 is bigger than 1 and 3 is, it's like each as you go up the scale, it grows in magnitude exponentially, not just like that. So it's like the intensity is a lot more intense, yes. The intensity is exponentially more, you know, going up. So 4.3 is definitely kind of just a good, that'll give you a good shake, but it probably won't cause any major structural damage, especially nowadays that so much of like, especially in LA, like the infrastructure is like built for this kind of stuff. Like a lot of buildings are on rollers and all that, so they like build stuff.
You don't have brick houses there.
Yeah, it's very uncommon for like brick stuff, especially houses, because that's just gonna, I don't know, like imagine just a bunch of like the whole thing exploding and just falling apart.
Well,
Yeah.
it would just basically like shake, like all the bricks would just shake.
Yeah, they're just shaking and
all
falling.
you
Like,
just see is a pile of bricks.
yeah, like, because I was asking my mom, I was like, because she grew up here, and so I was like, what was the worst earthquake you had? And she was saying this one, I don't remember what, it was like in the early 90s, I think, and it was in Whittier, but she was at UCLA, and it was kind of big, and she was like, yeah, I was in the brick building on campus, one of the really old buildings, so it's actually made out of bricks, and she was all like, this is it? But then it turned out fine. But she was like, yeah, I didn't go under anything because I just freeze. So she just stood that she was like there alone just with this other student who she did not know. And then they just stared at each other and didn't say anything. And then she left.
Okay.
So, Yeah. So luckily I was not in a brick building. It just
Okay, that's
knocked over
good.
some things. But yeah, so earthquake happened. Then yesterday I finished reading a novel that was like a Marvel novel. And it was like good, and then I didn't like the ending. So I'm just gonna pretend the ending didn't exist.
Okay.
And then all that. And then the other thing, which is a whole longer story, is my grandma is coming home. Actually, by the time this is uploaded, she might already be home. I don't know. But my grandma is
Oh,
coming
hooray.
coming home after almost 5 months of being away because she was in a skilled nursing facility recovering from a stroke.
Yes.
Her stroke was on Mother's Day, which is painfully
Oh my,
ironic.
ironic.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was Sunday, Mother's Day, and it was during the 1 week I just happened to be gone. Yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. She's made a lot of improvements and now
Yeah, that's
she's
good.
able to come home.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Oh
but
yeah, so we're talking about. I was asking you about or I guess you were telling me more so about the changes that are happening to your home, like
yes.
hospital beds and
Yes.
such.
So my grandma's level of ability has changed drastically. Basically, before the stroke, she was pretty independent. She just liked having a human presence in the house. She didn't like being alone. So
Mm-hmm.
that's basically what my job was here, was just to be another body sleeping here at night. And then like just random things around the house, like helping her fold big sheets, moving the trash cans, like normal like
Yeah,
things that are
like
like not
chores.
like you don't
Yeah.
need a whole caregiver for that or anything. It's just like that kind of stuff. So like,
Mm-hmm.
and she totally could have lived fully alone, I think. She just was very anxious about it all the time. So
Yeah.
because a lot of old people who are married for a long time, then their spouse dies, it's like that's the first time you're gonna be alone in like way over half your life. So like I get it. But then, so because of the stroke, she has now mostly unable to use her right side of her body like at all. Like her right leg has been starting to move more actually just within the last few weeks. That also shows you how long it takes to recover and how like you could get something back like months or even a year after the stroke. Like it can just come back.
Mm-hmm.
So she was unable to use like she can't use her like right arm at all. Like she's able to move her upper arm, but not like her hand or her forearm. But I've seen her fingers and like hand kind of twitching recently, so I think I am kind of optimistic about that now. And then her right leg she's also not able to use for a while, except now she's kind of able to take like really baby steps, like
Oh,
holding
that's
on to
good.
something. And she can also
Mm-hmm.
stand holding on to something, but she needs assistance like standing.
Mm-hmm.
And also at the very beginning, she wasn't able to sit up straight, but she's been able to sit up straight for like a long time now. And then the other big thing that happened was for until like July, she was just unable to swallow like properly, where she was like always and what is the word, aspirating, whatever. It's like you
Yeah.
swallow your spit and it goes down the wrong pipe. So it was always anything she swallowed would go down in her lungs. So she had pneumonia like 4 times in May and June. So she was going back and forth between the hospital and the skilled nursing facility for like the first like maybe 6 weeks post stroke. But then her swallowing somehow just came back like in July, and so she's been able to eat like pureed food and stuff. But she also has a feeding tube in her belly. Um, and then also her speech like is like gibberish now. So she got kind of more of the, because I think what people think about when they think like a stroke is like you get kind of like a slurred speech, but she kind
Mm-hmm.
of got extreme version of that where it's just like gibberish sounding, especially when she's trying to talk fast. And then the other hard part is that she speaks both English and Tagalog, so sometimes it's hard to tell which one she's using. And also, I am not at all
Yeah.
fluent in Tagalog, so I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I can't tell. I really can't tell. And then my mom and my uncle can understand Tagalog, but like they're not masters at it at all. They can just pick out like phrases in context and stuff and like understand what's happening. But this is, I think they've been learning vocab from having to pick out words they're able to make out that she says. But it has also gotten better since May.
That's
So
good.
there's that. But she can still read, and we've gotten her writing with her left hand, which can go, it kind of varies day to day. But I mean, I just always think like you're writing with your non-dominant hand, and she's like 82. Like, of course, that's gonna be super hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would just be hard regardless. But yeah, so just basically she has a lot more limited mobility, and then like the speech thing And then now the swallowing thing seems to not be as much of an issue, but now she's not thrilled that she's eating pureed food. I'll put it that way.
Oh,
Because,
okay.
you
What kind
know,
of pureed food?
like, it's like they do like kind of like a like basic things of like there's a usually some sort of protein or meat and then some sort of like green mush for like vegetable and then usually like a potato salad. Like I was so like I am literally one of the pickiest eaters out there, and I already know that if I'm ever in this situation, I might just like waste away from malnourishment because I could
Oh my God.
I would literally only be able to stomach eating mashed potatoes. Like I could not eat mashed up meat. Like I think my brain might just give up. Like it not be like my sensory things would just not be like no, cannot do that. And also she can't drink normal water because it's too thin. You know, it's like too runny.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like when you have like swallowing, I mean I'm sure there's a lot of medical technical terms, but when you're regaining like your swallowing ability after it's been lost, they won't give you just like straight water because that's way easier to go down the wrong pipe and stuff. So you have to drink like water that's like infused with stuff to make it
Jell-O?
thicker.
Oh.
She has had Jello. She also eats pudding. She also sometimes gets ice cream, which she's very excited about. But she has to have like water. She gets like so she has to drink like milk. And, like, also sometimes there's, like, honey in it. And then, like, for water, like, they don't give her, like, straight water. They, like, give her, like, mixtures of thicker liquids, like, nectar and stuff. So you can't just drink straight water, basically, in that situation. And then also she's been taking, like, medicine orally again, which I think is, like, the, like, liquid medicine. Like, think of, like, cold medicine from when you were a kid, like cough syrup. Yeah, which she is not a fan of. She's, like, there was one day we were visiting, and she was very upset because the taste of this medicine was still in her mouth, and she was just, like, she kept asking us for candy to try to, like, wash it out. But
well, yeah, liquid medicine can be gross.
Yeah, because it lingers compared to, like, a pill, you know? So, like, yeah, so we'll see what the deal is with the food when she's able to come home. But yeah, that should be interesting. But I think she's just really excited to come home and be in her comfort zone again. Luckily, the place she's in, they haven't had, knock on wood, but they haven't had any, like, COVID or anything there. Because, like,
That's
you know,
good.
those rehab facilities or anything where they have a lot of medical people, like, living there all the time, those are, like, where COVID was, like, really hitting last year. Luckily, you know, that is taken care of. Like, or not taken care of, but that has not happened. And they are taking care of, like, her flu shot. So that's good.
Oh,
So
that's
she
right.
gets the
It's
flu
flu
shot there.
season coming up.
Yeah, I know. I need to get my
Oh,
flu
I need to
shot.
get one. Yeah, I need to,
And also, I don't know if they give the COVID booster shots to patients there. I hope they do, but I haven't heard anything. But old people can get COVID booster shots now if they got... Oh, wait, no, it's if they got Pfizer. I don't know if Moderna has a booster shot. Okay, never mind. Because my grandma got Moderna. But regardless, everybody go get your flu shot.
I mean, I don't know because it's not like it's gotten cooler that much, really.
Yeah.
Well, today we're also recording this on the first day of fall. So
Yeah,
happy fall.
reporting in from the first day of fall, where we're in a heat wave in LA right now, so it's not Christian girl autumn over here.
Oh,
It's still very much hot girl summer. But yeah, so that's just what I've been up to, and also my mom has been living here with me in my grandma's house for many moons.
What about your whole wheelchair?
Oh yeah, so my
Saga?
grandma is wheelchair bound now for the most part, except when she does like her physical therapy. Like, we're hoping that over time she can get to a point where she's able to walk herself just from point A to point B in the house, like from her room to the dining table or from the dining table to the couch, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, especially, and like we have a walker and stuff already, so we're hoping we can get to that point, but I don't really know what to expect once she gets home. But so she's in a wheelchair right now, so we had to figure out ways to get her in the house because the house itself is not accessible. You know, there's like steps leading into every part. So we had to get a ramp so that we could wheel her into like her bedroom, which has a sliding glass door that goes to the backyard. And for some reason, we have some really old metal wheelchair in the garage that I don't know who it belonged to. But it's like old because I don't think they make wheelchairs like straight up silver metal
Mm-hmm.
anymore. It's like
Oh,
they're
okay,
like
yeah.
black and foldable now, but that one is like metal and gross, and I don't know where it
Is
came
it
from or why
heavy?
we
Was
have.
it
Yeah,
rusty?
it's also heavy and it's kind of rusty too. Like they're all, I think wheelchairs now are also lighter. So like overall, this is just an old wheelchair. But my dad was like, we should practice. You know, we get it like using the ramp, which yeah, that makes sense. We don't want our first run to be when she's here and then for us to mess it up. So he was practicing just pushing the empty wheelchair up and down. Then he practiced pushing me in the wheelchair up and down from into her room and back outside. Then I had to practice pushing him inside and then back outside. And then he made my mom also do it with me, and so she had to push me up in there and push me back outside. And then we were also just like messing around, like my dad was just like also like practicing using the wheelchair and like admiring the mechanics of it, how it's like, yeah, you hold one wheel still and move the other, then it like, moves around. He was just admiring the craft, and like the engineering of it.
I mean, yeah, whoever invented the wheelchairs
Yeah. So I
had
think I think
some
he was
good
enjoying it
genius.
because he practiced a little bit in our backyard. I think he
Oh,
also
okay.
practiced wheeling himself up the ramp just to see, I guess, how hard it would be. Which I don't think my grandma's gonna be doing anything like that, but I guess just for reference. But the wheelchair itself is pretty, like, it's one of those where the metal is so old, like when you touch it, you come away feeling like my hand is kind of gross right now.
Were the wheels moving pretty smoothly, or
Yeah,
like, because
yeah,
I'm
the wheels
assuming
move
that.
okay.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just the frame is really gross. And it's been outside. I literally don't know where it's from or why we have it. So, and I don't know, like my grandpa had a wheelchair from Kaiser when he was alive. That's more like the black foldable one. And I don't know where that went since he passed. I don't know if I think my mom's theory is one of my relatives like gave it away or something, or we returned it to Kaiser or something, but I don't know. So, yeah, and then we've just been doing a lot of like home improvements and stuff, and then we're gonna have to go through my grandma's room and like deep clean it and go through all her stuff again and all that. And then we're going through like the whole process of like changing her cable and her landline and all this, and maybe beefing up the internet because now there's gonna be like more people using it. So there's just
Oh,
a
okay.
lot of moving parts for this whole homecoming,
Well,
basically.
yeah, you have to prepare.
Yes.
The
So
matriarch is coming home. You
she
gotta.
is. And then we're gonna have to figure out, I guess, like long term. Like I'm already thinking, I'm like, I wonder if we're gonna be able to have holiday like family gatherings again this year. Because my family didn't do any last year. Because once she's home, it'll be a lot easier for like our other relatives to visit her. Because then they won't have to like schedule it and like only come for an hour and stuff and go to this facility and be masked the whole time or whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I wonder if we have to do that. But then I was like, I guess we'll just have to host everything for my grandma to be able to see everyone. Cause we also don't even know like traveling. Like we have to figure. Like my mom has to make. She has a whole list of questions she's gonna ask the care people because
Oh, gotcha.
we don't even know. Like I don't like once she has like doctor's appointments in person again. Like I have no idea. Like we don't have any like wheelchair accessible cars, like a van or anything. So it'd have to
Mm-hmm.
be like a can we maneuver her from the wheelchair into the car? I don't really know. So I guess we'll find
Gotcha.
out. So yeah, so I've just learned a lot more about health insurance, a lot more about old people, and a lot more about long-term care. And then now I'm probably going to be concerned for our generation because a lot of the health insurance that the old people have now, I do not think we will have when we're that old and we're retired because,
Oh, in what way?
because retirement packages have changed. Like both my grandparents worked like for the government because my grandpa worked for the city of LA. My grandma worked for like the LA County, like the LAUSD, like the Unified School
Mm-hmm.
District. So
Yeah.
like that's like public government jobs, so whatever. Like so I mean private companies, they I don't know what they do, but my mom works for the city of Sacramento, so she has like a similar job. And there's like already just a big difference in like how they do retirement now, like in terms of health insurance. Like when my grandparents retired, they were pretty much able to keep like 100% coverage of everything and like
Oh,
all the medical benefits.
really?
But nowadays, when you retire, and this is going to happen when my mom retires, you do not get as much coverage anymore in terms of what like is still like covered just automatically, I guess, unless you like pay for extra in your plan or something.
Oh my God.
So I can only imagine by the time Gen Z is old, it will be much worse. Which I mean, I'm only coming from the evaluation of public, like, government jobs, so I don't know how it works for private company jobs.
Well, I
But I
don't.
would not be surprised if it's a similar thing. And also, isn't, like, Social Security about to run out? So, like, can
I
we retire? I don't know if we can retire.
no. Well, the thing is, I don't know if you, considering the occupations that we would want to go to into,
Yeah,
I don't think retirement is really much of a
that's true.
thing that we are guaranteed.
Dude, I already am like, oh man, like, how do you do health insurance when you don't have a company? Where it's like,
I know.
select it and pay for it. Oh my
Well,
god.
because, oh my God. Well, because I was also like, when you're like when you're around this age and you start like, like going to the doctor or like accompanying people to the doctor, like, without your parents and like you
Hmm.
start to see how health insurance works.
Oh
And
my
then
god, yeah.
you like ask a question or you ask for one thing and they're like, boom, here is a $250 charge on
Yes.
your
Oh my
bill,
god.
which has happened to me. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
How
Oh my
did
god.
that
It's just
happen?
I'm also like, I don't know. I'm also just like with like, I don't want to get too into it or like share too much like details or whatever, but just seeing like if this whole thing of like my grandma's like care since May and how like what is covered and like what gets paid out of pocket. And also I learned that there are like basically like time limits to how long things will be covered and stuff, where I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand the whole argument anymore of like, oh, we like private healthcare is better because of the quality of care. And I'm like, how is it more higher quality if you can't, like, if there's, you can max it out? Like, that does not make sense to me, because it's not, shouldn't it be unlimited then? Like, if I'm gonna have to live in a facility for X amount of time, there should not be some cutoff date where after X point in time I have to pay for it out of
Yeah.
pocket. Like, that doesn't sound like high quality coverage to me. Like, I don't know. And then also like with ambulances, like ambulances are really expensive, are like really expensive for people
Yeah.
without insurance. But even with insurance, like they cost like, we got, because of how much my grandma had pneumonia, every time she was transported between the hospital and this like the long-term care facility, it was an ambulance ride, and that ambulance ride after insurance costs like $50, which, like, obviously if you don't have insurance you're going to be paying like hundreds of dollars per ambulance
Hundreds.
ride.
I know,
But
well,
even
that's
then, like,
why,
what is the healthcare doing if I have to pay out of pockets for it at all?
like, I
It's so
understand, like,
weird.
healthcare, like, resources and tools can be really expensive. Like, I understand that. But, if you are in a case of an emergency and something happens and this person is in need of immediate transportation to a hospital, and you don't want, and the person is like, do not call the ambulance. I don't want an
Yeah.
ambulance. And
Like
it's
the fact
like,
that, or like the whole thing of like people Ubering to the hospital.
yeah, like
Like, what the
also
hell?
considering how expensive Ubers can be also.
Mm-hmm. It's just so insane. And then also, like, because then I know, like, I mean, I guess I didn't know this before all this, but like with our health, like my grandma's health insurance, like they would also send like a breakdown every month of the summer of being like, here's all the different things that cost money to care for you this summer, but like here's how much of it we covered. And like,
Isn't it? Doesn't it
it's
look kind of
so,
complicated to read?
yeah, it's very complicated to read. Also, like, we literally would get the ambulance bills, and then they would be like, you need to pay $50 out of pocket, but also this document is not a bill. So I was like, which of these things is true? Because these two both cannot be true. That does not make sense. And then we get these 30-page packets of like, here's a breakdown of
Yeah.
everything you cost us in like June, and it was like in 5 figures, and I was like, bro, what? Like, it was like, I don't know, like somewhere upwards of like 50K
Oh
for
my
like a
gosh.
month of care, and I was just
Also,
like, what?
have you also seen like when you look at like a hospital bill or something and they have like the health insurance codes because they don't like sometimes it won't say like what
Mm-hmm.
it is or how it falls under insurance. So there was one time I was looking at my hospital bill and I was like, what? where is this coming from? Like, how come this isn't covered? And then I have to like literally like enter this number in and be like, what does this number mean in
Yeah, like
terms
to
of
just
like
get a real
insurance code?
breakdown. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just so weird. And then I'm just like, ugh. And then this wasn't a money thing, but a thing that annoyed me recently was that I had to like get a new, like refill my prescription, for like birth control or whatever. And I think they changed this recently because then I got prescribed this like 4 years ago. And then they were like, I went to like, get my online like thing to
Mhm.
order the refill. And thanks to Obamacare, it doesn't cost money for birth control with my insurance. So I was like, literally, it's like, I just say, ship this to me, please. And then they do, and I don't pay anything. And then they're like, actually, we need your physician to sign off on this prescription again. And I was like, why?
Really?
Yeah, I was like, why? What will they say? I haven't seen them probably. I haven't seen the physician who prescribed this to me probably since the appointment where they prescribed it to me. And I have not spoken with them since then. Therefore, why? Like, I get after maybe a long period of time, but also you could also just email. The doctor could just message me and ask. Like, I was just confused. Because then also, like, I was like, okay, I'm kind of close to when I need to start this refill, so, like, can you not hold this up? Because I don't want to start quitting it cold turkey
Yeah.
after 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But, the physician reapproved it like in 2 seconds once it got to the weekday, like on Monday. So I was like, okay, what was the point of this? I get it for like maybe a more intense drug or something, but birth control is kind of like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it can f you up, but I don't. It's not the same as like a those hardcore painkillers or anything that like people always
Yeah.
like accidentally OD on. Like that one you might want to review each time, but I just have more questions about the privatization and profiting off of medical care
Yeah.
than
I
ever
mean, now
before.
well, you're like in like the mix of it ever since like the whole thing with your
Yeah.
grandma happened. So like it's understandable how you're like, what the fuck? How?
Yeah, like I just
How?
and also cuz I've like been using TikTok a lot more recently, and so like every once in a
Mm-hmm.
while I get TikToks also from like disabled people who will talk about that stuff. And it's just like like why is this so, why did they make everything impossible for just any kind of medical care? Like, it doesn't make sense. Or no, also like the fact, like, this is getting way off the subject of like how are we doing, but like we do not have marriage equality. Yes, same-sex couples can get married, but we will not have true marriage equality until they get rid of the stupid laws about how any disabled people who are on like get the federal aid, because like any disabled person, I don't know all the details, basically any disabled person who gets like federal financial aid, where they get like a check every month from the government like to help them, they are limited in how much money they can have in their bank account any given time. And therefore, when you get married and then your personal amount of wealth you may have or how much money you may have any given time is going to change, because now you're like with someone else who's going to have another income, and then you file your taxes jointly.
Yeah.
A lot of
Uh-huh.
disabled people can't get married because then if they do, they will make too much money and then therefore will not be allowed to receive aid anymore. Like, and I'm just like, what? Like, just like everything. I think the limit is they can't have more than $2,000 in their checking account, which anybody knows that $2,000 and you're like actually paying for all your own stuff is not that much money, especially if you live in a city. So how are they supposed to get a job if they can't have more than $2,000 in their account? And you're
Sorry,
gonna
what?
get, yeah, I don't know all the details on this. I've just like read things about it in the past. I've seen people talk about it from their own personal experience, but it's just this basically, it all comes back down to the system is designed to go against disabled people. It's designed to profit off of everybody so that people who own these medical companies can like, make all this money and stuff. That will be, once we get rid of that shit, we will have real marriage equality. That is the point of that tangent. Yeah, that's how I'm doing. All that to say, but it's okay. Now it's Christian Girl Autumn, and I will just try to live my Christian Girl Autumn life in this 80-degree weather, and I will dream about the day I can wear long
A
sleeves.
sweater.
I will dream of the day I can wear my actual literal cardigan, my cardigan by Taylor Swift cardigan, and not be burning up.
Yeah.
Okay, that is my State of the Union address, my fellow Americans.
So.
Yeah, how's life in Texas?
Oh, is it my okay, so
Yeah,
my
this
State
gonna
of
be.
the
I
Union.
like talked for like half an hour, so I feel like I
My
should
State of the
stop.
Union.
Yeah, your State of the
Um,
Union.
I've been okay-ish.
Nice. That's
I
better than
have,
bad.
oh my gosh, wait, actually, I have actually good news. I have good news, actually.
What is that?
I have just found out that I am Employee of the Month.
Oh my god, do you get a special parking spot?
No. I am employee. Okay, so like the company that I work for is actually nationwide, so I'm actually Employee of the Month nationwide.
Bro, what? Dude, you have so much
And I was
clout.
like, I had such a stressful weekend of work actually the other week because it was. I'm gonna be honest, no one was gonna go watch any movies this weekend because do you even know what movies came out this weekend?
I just know it was still Shang-Chi.
That's the only movie that's bringing people in, and I guess also Malignant, but Malignant is on HBO Max, so you could just watch that at home.
Mhm.
But the only two movies that were new this weekend were Cry Macho, the Clint Eastwood movie,
Uh-huh.
and he's still making movies at
I
the
know.
ripe
I
age of
sometimes
90.
am like, wow, he's alive still, and then yeah. Anyway,
And then Cop Shop.
I don't even know what
I
that
don't
one's
know what
about.
this movie. I don't know what it's about.
Okay.
But not many people have been coming to movies. I was having a stressful weekend because I was like not getting as many surveys as I usually would when other movies would come out. So I was
Mhm.
like making it through. And then I found out I was Employee of the Month, and I was like, oh okay. And I told my parents, and they were like, oh my god, what do you get? Like a bonus? Like do you get a
Yeah,
bonus?
what do you
And I was
get?
like, no. For being Employee of the Month across the entire country, all the employees across the entire country, I got a gift card.
Two.
Amazon. I'll let you guess how much the gift card is.
$50.
It's 25. I got a $25 gift card.
What? No, that's even worse. I was gonna guess 20 at first. I was like, no, that seems too like lame. And then, oh, okay. Anyways, capitalism strikes again.
So I'm about to go all ham out on Amazon later when I get that $25 gift card.
Wow. Yeah, for
Um,
whatever your needs are.
yeah.
Whatever thing you need where you're like, I don't want to go to the store.
Yeah.
Or you get a Halloween costume or something.
Oh, that's true, but I'm working on Halloween, so
You can show up in a costume.
but I don't think I can do that. It
Wow.
deters from my dress code.
Oh, okay. Well, you could Disney bound
Oh.
closet cosplay.
Could I? I have to wear all black. Would
Okay,
I?
there are plenty of characters who wear all black. Like
Yeah,
the
but
Black Widow suit is black. The Black Panther suit is black.
Yeah, I could walk into work wearing like a black leather suit and be like, I'm
Where-
ready
Dude, dress up as like T'Challa.
with the whole mask and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that way you're wearing a mask too.
But yeah, that was my big news, I guess.
Wow.
Well, the highlight of my
Go you.
weekend, I guess. But yeah, what have I feel like my life has kind of been meh, really. I've just
Are
been
you just
working at home.
living the
Oh,
capitalism life?
yeah, I was kind of sad. Well, okay, actually, no. There was a hurricane that happened like 2-ish weeks ago.
That's more
That,
exciting than
well,
work.
because I mentioned it because you mentioned your earthquake, so I was like, well, I feel
Yes.
like I should mention the hurricane then.
Yeah, let's talk about our weird weather events.
So there was all I knew like 2-ish weeks ago was that there was a big storm coming, and I was like, oh, okay. But then I found out it was a tropical depression, tropical storm, which is like a degree lower than a hurricane. So I was like, okay, it shouldn't be too bad. It's just like a storm with a little bit of wind. So they called the storm Nicholas they don't name earthquakes, but they name hurricanes.
They only name the memorable earthquakes.
Yeah. Um, so Nicholas was heading towards Texas, and all of the weather people were thinking that it was going to head to Corpus Christi and then up to Houston,
Hmm.
which I think it actually did. And then literally the night before the storm was about to hit Houston, they were like, "Oh, JK, it's now a hurricane now.
Oh.
Hurricane Nicholas is heading to Houston." And it was a category 1, which like in terms of hurricanes, like category 1 being the weakest and then category 5 being the strongest. So it shouldn't I it like doesn't seem too bad for a hurricane, but like, hurricanes can still deal a lot of damage. And you also, I feel
Hmm.
like meteorologists haven't quite like locked down on
How to do
accurately,
it.
yeah, on accurately like understanding a hurricane and the damage and power it can do because like how do you predict the damage of a hurricane really until it gets here and you're like, "Oh, this weather is worse or like better than expected." But luckily it happened on the latter end where it's like the hurricane, everyone was actually like stockpiling here, like
Hmm.
going to grocery stores, getting gas, getting all their waters, getting all their kits and everything ready in case anything happened, which I feel like I'm pretty sure it's because Harvey was such a
Hmm.
bad thing and no one really expected Harvey to, damage
As much
or
as it did.
basically drown Houston to that
Hmm.
extent. So people were like getting prepared for that. But honestly, I feel like a lot of people here in Houston are kind of like, oh, a hurricane's coming, like, ready or not, here we go. Like, I don't think anyone really evacuated or anything. I don't think I really remember the last time my family was evacuated for a hurricane. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Wow.
Um,
So then, how did
but
this
it was
hurricane turn
fine.
out?
So it came through my area like in the middle of the night. So I was just sleeping. I slept through the night like fairly well because when you hear rain outside your window and you're like, "Oh,
Mm.
this is nice."
It's like
Yeah, so I was just
ASMR.
like, yeah, and then I think in the middle of the night I looked outside my window and I could see the trees swaying sideways and the rain just coming down, but I was like, well, this is like standard hurricane, you know, behavior.
Par for the course.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, it's chill. And then the next morning I woke up, or actually, no, in the middle of the night, I was like, I noticed, because I sleep in darkness, like complete darkness. Like I
Mm.
don't have a nightlight or anything. The only thing I have is like a clock, like a digital clock.
Hmm.
So I could see the time in the middle of the night. And then I was like looking. When I woke up in the middle of the night, I was like, something seems off. And then I noticed that I couldn't see the time on my clock, and I was like, that's weird. Check my phone. It wasn't charging, and then tried the lamp, and it wasn't working. I was like, oh, the power's gone.
Mm.
Okay. And then that was it. And then I woke up, came downstairs. There was already a mini generator on the table ready to go. And my parents have been working on their backyard basically like during quarantine. I think my mom really popped off on gardening, so she like really made the backyard really beautiful. So all of her plants got thrashed around, and then my
Mm.
dad's vegetable garden got thrashed around as well.
Oh.
And we have a big pine tree in my backyard, and all of the pine cones, there were so many pine cones on the ground that
Mm.
me and my sister picked up. But wind can be very dangerous. Have you noticed? Have you realized that? Like when I was driving
Yeah.
by, I had like gone somewhere that same day because the storm had basically passed over. It was just like drizzling here and there. But I was noticing that there were some fences that were like toppled over, like trees were literally ripped from the ground from its roots and like toppled over, hitting people's and getting into people's like backyards and stuff. Luckily, I haven't seen any house damage, but
Hmm.
if the wind can, it will. I went to my cousin's house and we bought ice cream and then just watched episodes of the show Lucifer.
Yeah. And it's a very
Okay,
big
I don't
fandom.
really watch that show, but like me and my sister and my cousin like it. So I sat down and watched it with them. It's such a interesting
I see it a
show.
lot on Tumblr.
Like it's got an interesting interpretation of angels and
Demons.
humans. That's all I'll say to that. Oh, I shot a short film, but that was kind of a long
Yeah.
time ago.
Yeah, it was like a
I
month
shot a
ago now,
short
right?
film. Yeah, and like I guess yeah, it hasn't been too long ago, but if I'm being honest, not like I don't hate like film or anything, but I feel like part of me is kind of I don't know, like kind of like not as excited to jump into like editing it a bit
Mm-hmm.
because I feel I don't know. I don't know if you also felt this way when you're making something, but I think there's just kind of that fear where like I'm not in school anymore. It's not like I have like a professor or anyone to like check up on me when
Mm-hmm.
I'm making something and like I am very much like a like I very much am like a perfectionist and I don't
Yes.
like to make mistakes for a lot of things. So like I think part of it is that like I've started editing it, but I'm not enthusiastic about editing it because I know that in my head I'm just thinking about like all of the mistakes that I've made
It's
going
so deep.
like yeah, like making mistakes and well cuz this is kind of what's been on my mind recently since we're talking about my state of the union. Like I really love storytelling and I love stories, but when it comes to like making my own stuff, I feel like I get too in my head a lot of the times where I get scared to make stuff
Mm-hmm.
because
Yes.
I can never just like let myself live. just
Yeah. It's hard.
yeah, and it's
Creating
like
is
I
such a
wish
vulnerable process.
yeah, it is. And it's like so weird because, you know, when I see a really good piece of like art, you know, like on a TV show or film, and I'm like, oh, I like feel really inspired to do that. But I feel like I hold like those creators to such a higher standard that I also don't give myself a break to like just make a mistake
Mm-hmm.
or like to just let it be what it is. And instead I'm like, oh my God, it's like it's not what I wanted. It's not what it was supposed to be. And so it's like, it's just like a very mentally it's just very
Mm-hmm.
up and down with the whole creative process and it's not as you know like it's not like I'm in the whole like creative like the creative like jumpstart energy where I'm like yes I feel like I'm going to finish editing this film like as soon as I can and I'm going to move on to the next step and it's just going to keep going and going like I it's kind of hard to jump back into something when you haven't been doing it for so long
Yeah, I feel that.
when you also when you're just starting off and you're also just not doing it that often it's like
Mm-hmm.
the room for error I feel like hits a lot more than if I were you know if I were like moving and like grinding on things like week after week after week and now it's just like I've made this one thing and I'm scared that it's not going to be
Yes.
something because I hold it closer I guess
Mm-hmm.
to my heart than I don't know, other stuff. But yeah, I got a little too deep there. But
No,
like that's
that's
how I'm
part of being
feeling.
an artiste.
Yeah. I just think about not to say that I
See
don't
those
hate my job.
movies.
Like I'm grateful that I am earning money,
Mm-hmm.
but the whole thing of thinking about the future and like
Yes.
waiting for future waiting, basically like waiting for life to happen, which I know I shouldn't be doing, but I just want a
Yeah.
job that, you know, I want a job in the occupation, like the degree I actually studied for.
Mm-hmm. Which is so hard, and then a lot of the jobs are also they're kind of rough.
Well, okay, I think part of it, well, it's like also like, you been seeing all the stuff about the strike that's been happening about
Mm-hmm.
people working on
And
set?
cruise,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, and it's like, it's not like I don't want to work. It's that I don't want to overwork myself and I don't want to
Yeah.
ruin I don't want to have a messed up work life balance where I don't have the time to actually live my life. Like I want to feel like I'm living my life while I'm working, not
Yeah.
the other way around.
I know. I mean, now I'm like, maybe I should just make random stuff and put it online and hope that I get discovered instead. I'm like, maybe I should just skip that part and see if I can try my luck with that.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I should just write more fan fiction and then someone will hit me up when it turns into a novel. Because that seems to be happening more. Is that, like, there's this popular YA novel I keep seeing on TikTok that was originally a Raylo fan fiction.
Oh, okay.
On Archive of Our Own, so I'm like, I mean, if they can do it.
Yeah, right?
It's just like,
I don't know.
But a lot of it's just so luck.
It is. I just think about, and I'm just like, wow, like, look at all these, like, great people, like, making all this great content, and then you look at some people, you're like, how did you even get
I
up
know,
to the
I'm just
position
like,
that you
why? Yeah.
did? Like, ugh.
Dude, imagine
Yeah,
how
I
much,
don't
like,
know.
how much creativity would not have been suppressed or wasted if it wasn't for, like, capitalism and the need to get healthcare, etc., etc., etc.
Well, and yeah, also,
That makes
like,
me
that
sad
whole
to
thing,
think about.
it's just kind of all barreling
How much
down where
art
you're
has
like,
been
ugh.
lost because of capitalism and the grind.
Yeah. Well, now, especially when you're talking about health insurance, like, the security of a 9 to 5 and, like, the benefits that you get from that.
Yeah, and even then, it's like,
What
I
is
feel like,
that?
but I feel like people who have gotten jobs since we graduated, like, they're not necessarily, like, happy.
I
Is the
think
other
so,
thing.
too.
I have yet to
I
meet someone who's like, I got this job after we graduated, and I am really excited. I
Loving
really
it,
love it.
yeah.
I'm doing this, or like is actually financially stable. It's a lot of working 9 to 5 and still living at home because of how much it actually costs to live on your own.
I don't. It's just so
Capitalism.
upsetting. Well, I like also it's like I feel like I've heard a lot often from like friends being like, "Oh, I'm working this job and then I want to work as much as I can and then retire early." And I'm just kind of like, so are we all just like waiting for life to start? Like I don't get it.
Or are we
Even if
waiting?
you
That
have a
sounds like you're
job.
waiting for life to end.
Yeah.
It's just trying to skip ahead to like the final stages.
Well, I just always thought like a job shouldn't be something that I hate to go to. I'm just doing it for the burden of it because I need to make
Yeah.
money. Like I would want a job that I actually love to do, and I feel
And is meaningful.
yeah. Apparently
And
not.
is
That's
actually
not the
making
case.
use of your skills, and if those skills happen to
Yeah.
be creativity and storytelling, is it such a crime to want that?
I just
I don't know. And it's just like, also, can we just abolish the cover letter? Like, I'm
tired of cover
so
letters.
over it.
Have you been applying to jobs? Because I
Not
feel like
really.
I feel sad like
I've-
whenever I apply to jobs.
I like go through phases where I'm like looking at jobs and I'll apply to a couple, but it's like it's been a while since I've actually applied to something that has then responded to me, and I'm just like I'm just so done with it. And also with how much stuff you have to do to apply with the whole cover letter thing. Or like and I was watching some like Pokemon collector I follow was talking yesterday about how they were applying. She was going to apply for like a delivery driver part-time job, and she was like, "Why do I have to write a cover letter and try to make it sound like I'm so excited to drive around and deliver things? Like, why do you need a cover letter for that? Like, can we just all be honest? Like, can the company just admit maybe the job is not that glam? Maybe it's literally just getting tasks done, and they just want someone qualified to do that. And what is a cover letter gonna do for that besides fake enthusiasm?"
I would get into spurts where I would feel sad about myself. And then I would feel like I needed to take control of my life and then apply to jobs.
Yes, that's exactly how I feel too. I go through like a cycle
I literally just did that.
where it's just like, oh shit, and then I just go through all these job listings and then I apply to like a handful and then no one responds.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, it's like no one ever said like they either like wait like 2 or 3 months later to be like, we received your application, unfortunately we're not considering it. And it's like this is taking too long. I like
y'all need to beef up your HR.
Yeah, and it's like I just want to work a job in which I feel something. I just feel I also like because I was talking to my parents about it because I think they're also like, are you gonna get like a job soon? Because the job I'm working is part time, which again I don't mind. Like at least I'm earning money during this time, but I'm just kind of like there's still a lot of like work from home options open, but I've already learned from past experiences I don't do well with work from home. It makes me
Mhm.
feel isolated and like separated from the rest of the world if I'm just gonna be at home
Mhm.
for 40 hours, like literally like every day.
Mhm. See, I feel like I'm like kind of like I don't want to be isolated, but also being in LA, I really don't want to drive for
I
hours.
know I don't enjoy
So I'm
it,
like,
but like
work from home sounds
I
nice
I
for that.
go yeah, but when I go to work, because I actually have to work, at a theater, right?
Yeah,
I enjoy the camaraderie of being
being
with
with people.
coworkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it makes the job more enjoyable and more fun because you're like with other people and like they all get it. Like if the job is like there's some stresses about the job, like we can all bond through that together.
Mhm.
But I feel like it's just harder when you work from home because you're literally just seeing people through a screen.
Yeah.
And it's not like, and you choose when you can be on or when you can be off. So if they were like, oh, let's do like a social hour on Zoom or something, I'd be like,
No.
"Eh, no.
No thanks. Well, that's just the exciting time of our lives we're in right now,
Yeah.
where we get to figure all that out.
Yeah, so that's my state of the union. Hurricanes and
Capitalism.
yeah.
Woo!
I just keep hoping and praying. I'm like, can I just have like a job I actually enjoy in the future?
Can I just have an opportunity?
Legitimately.
Can I have an opportunity to use what I'm good at in my degree?
I know, cause like if you're not working or like you're not working the job that you want to do, it's just it makes you feel like you have no skills
Yeah.
when you do. Like
I
I'm
feel
pretty
like
sure
I
I have a
have
lot of
no.
skills.
What also makes me feel like I don't have skills is seeing entry level job that requires 2 years of experience, and it's for
Yeah.
things that I have done in past jobs, and then I start. Then it like puts me in this mindset where I'm like, damn, I have no work experience, and it's like, I do. There's also such a thing as learning on the job, but all these
Mhm.
jobs make it sound like you need to be like expert level at every single thing just to do basic tasks.
Yeah.
Or it's
Also
the
the
thing
whole
of
thing of like
like it's like two people's worth of jobs put into one $15 an hour job.
yeah. Also like the whole thing of like you need to know all of these programs so and blah 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 and it's
Oh
like
my god,
okay, but
yeah.
like what if you can't afford so and so programs to use?
Yeah. Also, can we just be like real and use basic stuff? Also, can you just teach it on the job? Because people are tech savvy enough nowadays. They can probably also just learn on the
Yeah,
job.
like I mean like I could be a quick learner. Like if you actually tell me like if I actually when it comes to a new job, if you were like there and like training me, like I would work so hard to make sure I did a good job, when it's like your
Mm-hmm.
first days. Like you don't want to disappoint everyone. So like
Yeah.
as a whoever's listening to this, like if you have a job opening for anyone who has production experience and or editing experience. I have some. I just don't have like a lot of professional experience. Please
Yes.
hire me.
I write fanfic, which means I can probably write you a better YA novel than some random 40 or 50-year-old who does not have their finger on the pulse of modern culture
Oh my
among young
god.
people. So that's my pitch.
Hire us.
Yeah, that's
Actually though.
the summary of the State of the Union.
Do we actually have to just make our own like we just have to make our own work happen because that's how it seems like
Yes.
at this rate.
Yes. Well, that's a fun note to end on.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Yes. Hashtag verify pineapple headache. Hashtag monetize pineapple headache.
sponsors, if there are any
Yeah.
sponsors listening.
We'll put an ad spot.
We can make a fun commercial. We have a writer here. I can add
Oh.
some fun
We
sound
can make
effects like
music. We could literally make
yeah,
music.
yeah, we could try. We could try.
Yeah.
Okay everyone. It looks like we're wrapping up this episode now. Thank you for listening to another episode of Pineapple Headache, whatever this episode was,
Yeah.
really though.
State of the Union.
Yeah, you have any lasting thoughts, Madison?
Hire us.
Yeah.
The end.
Okay, well, thank you for listening everyone. We'll see you with another episode next time.
See you at the next headache.